If I were you, I would turn off the sound and just look at the pictures. Here's the secret. You would not hurt my feelings because I would not know, right? Which brings me to the subject at hand, knowing and not knowing. The mystery of Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. There's a word. Dementia, a disease that affects memory, thinking, and behavior. Let me make this very clear right now. To those that are intimately involved with people suffering from Alzheimer's, it is a very, very serious business. They are not in the mood to listen to anything else except what the experts have affirmed as absolute facts. And they're certainly not interested in ideas that are not in keeping with conventional wisdom. Just remember this. At one time, conventional wisdom said the earth was flat. Be that as it may, I would like to propose another point of view, albeit a point of view from me, an uneducated man who has been known for some rather bizarre ideas. I mean no disrespect to the experts, but here I go into the land of the bizarre. First, a story. Many years ago, I went to visit an aunt that was in her 90s, I think. She had accumulated a massive amount of money, and her wealth was far greater than my little mind could comprehend. Her wealth of millions of dollars was very impressive. I went to see her because I needed to hear from her what my father's role was in her amassing her fortune. She told me, and I came away very satisfied of my father's contributions to her wealth. I needed information from her, not her money. As a matter of fact, to this day I have no idea what happened to her amassed wealth. Anyway, I also came away with a very impressive and interesting point of view of old people. She could remember in exceptional details what happened many, many years ago, but had a difficult time recalling events just a few minutes ago, days ago, or even weeks ago. And three things came to mind immediately. One, how easily she could be manipulated to do anything by the unscrupulous. Two, could her difficulty in recent recall be a protective mechanism designed by nature? And three, what was really important to her at this stage of her life? I am sure that our caretakers were in the position to do as they wish. Maybe just a drink of water was far more important to her than millions of dollars. As a change of subject, let me share this with you, something my grandmother told me. She told me as she sat immobilized in her chair that I should never be like her, sitting in a chair regretting all the things she didn't do. Of course, at age 12 or so, what she was saying to me made very little sense. Back then I thought, how can one regret something that they haven't done? Now I know exactly what she was saying. As a teenager, I lived in Massachusetts. Strange how life at 70 is so much different than life at 17. Anyway, I had met a girl who simply took my breath away, so much so that I gave her my most expensive possession, a pure gold signet ring with my initials set in a ruby. When you're 17, you haven't yet learned to protect your heart and to live a life with emotional restrictions. The idea that in the modern world one must always be cagey about relationships, that is, relationships must always be based on things, not feelings. It is the safest way to live. But at 17, you haven't yet learned that the smart person learned the many ways to say no, rather than committing 100% to anyone. Anyway, my relationship with that girl in Massachusetts ended a few weeks after it started. It was more tragic in more ways than just emotional. I related this story to not only expose myself, but to underscore this. What if Alzheimer's is nature's way to protect the old away from greed, selfishness, and the insincerity of those so-called loved ones? What if Alzheimer's is a way for the old to retreat into that pure emotional state of being where love has meaning and to a time when passion was unconditional? What if Alzheimer is a safety valve for the aged to dismiss themselves from the immediate and uncomfortable proximity of the facade of friends and relatives? What if Alzheimer's is a license to embrace those magic moments when sharing a touch, a kiss, a shared space of silence, a feeling of total and absolute bliss is all that is important? Nowadays, old people have become a burden to their children, of course, and an embarrassment to so-called friends. Could it be that adult children pretend caring for their aged parents as masking their selfishness? After all, how embarrassing it is to those young adults to have seeming non-functional members of the family. Isn't it easier to keep old folks medicated out of sight? Do you know what I think? Do you want to know what I really think? I think when I get old, I'm going to retreat into my shell, and in my mind, I'm going to relive every moment when passion and love was shared with me. In my mind, when I get old, every second shared will be lived and relived and relived, and I won't care if I'm thought of as an old fart who no longer have a function in this world. See these pictures? I'm going to play them over and over and over again. And more importantly, I'm going to cling tightly to the moments when I share these pictures with someone very special. These pictures and pictures just like these. And I'm going to search my memories, old memories. I will cling to those memories. As for my mouth wide open, my body shaking, and my blank stare seemingly looking into nothingness, let this sight bother the onlookers. I have Alzheimer, remember? My only regret will be that I lacked the courage back then to love passionately and unconditionally without regards to how others may think of me. Because in the end, only love really matters, not other people's opinion.